Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start because I know we're at the top of the hour. So, good morning, everyone that's attending the webinar. Today our focus is kind of reviewing some of the new things that have come both in the Power Platform space. So, if you're using your Power Apps, whether model driven or Canvas, as well as the customer enterprise space or the business application space. So, covering things like D365 Sales, D365 Customer Insights Journey, D365 Customer Service, field service, project operations. Now, I'm only going to cover some of the highlights of some of these applications because indeed, with any of these wave releases, right, this is Microsoft's opportunity to release quite a lot. And really what they mean by a wave release is this is the start of things to come. And so what you'll see in this wave 2 release, and I'll be sending out some documentation and giving you some URLs to check out in terms of what's happening that you're working with. But what you will see on all of these features is that they will have, public preview, they'll have early access, and they'll have general availability. And what you'll see on a number of these items is that they're going to be released to your environments in a wave fashion. It doesn't mean that you're going to get everything in October, right, or November, December. It just means in the next couple of months you will start to realize and see some of these new features in place. I'm gonna go ahead and start by covering some of the business application functionality, and then I am also gonna complement some of this for some of our system administrators that might be in place, or indeed some of the IT decision makers that might be attending here. Some quality of maintenance improvements that Microsoft has rolled out. But I'm going to start first with what you can see on your screen now, which is the Sales Hub. I would define um, I guess the release and the features that they release for D365 Sales as really quality of work. So it's really focused on some of your UX and your UI functionality. Now, what you may be hearing in the community and indeed reading from Microsoft is that their focus now in D365 Sales is transitioning to what you've probably been using with Copilot for Sales, right? So something that's embedded into your Teams meetings, right, and giving you those nice meeting summaries. In the new year, you're going to start to see a lot more features rolled out with Copilot for Sales. But what I'm going to focus on today is just a few quality of work features that they've been rolling out here, mostly focused on the user experience. So the first one that I'm going to talk about here is your opportunity groupings, and specifically being able to drill into some of the pipeline features that you might already be working with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first here, I'm in the Sales Hub, just so everybody can follow me here. I'm going to go to my site map here, and I'm going to go to my opportunities. Now, most everyone will open, their opportunities to a view like this, or potentially, you might be working with all opportunities here, depending on what kind of scale you're focusing on here. But one thing that you may not be using that I can kind of point us to is the pipeline view of opportunities, right? So I'm just going to go into my command bar here. I'm going to go to show as. I'm going to just tell it to focus on the pipeline view. What you're going to see is it's going to use that underlying view of all opportunities. So indeed, this view that I'm showing you right here is contextual as you go through all of the various views that you have on your opportunity. But as you can see here, right, we've got the deal tracker by stage, by date, closure date. If I hover over any one of these circles here, you'll see there's a little card that tells me bits and pieces about this particular opportunity, right? Those key points from the opportunity. If I go to my sales funnel as well, right, you'll see it's going to break down all of my opportunities with where they are in that opportunity cycle, right? So are we still qualifying them, or are we in the close, right? And again, as you hover over one of these tiles here, you'll see a bit of information. That's not what we're going to focus on today. Be happy to answer any questions that you have around this functionality, but I want to specifically talk about some of the aggregate grouping functionality and the aggregation functionality. So being able to sum, being able to present a minimum, a maximum, etc. So what I'm going to do in order to enable that is I'm going to focus more on the subgrid below, which is again just a reflection of all your opportunities. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to something like the potential customer here, or indeed the topic here, and I'm going to tell it I want you to group by. So I want you to group all these records by the topic, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click group by here. And you're going to see what it's doing now is it's grouped by the topic that is, one of the key features of your opportunity is what is the nature of this particular opportunity. You see what it's does. It's taken all of those opportunities I had in my list, and it's just simply nested it underneath the topic. And so you can imagine if you have more, depending on how you name your opportunities, if it's, in this particular case, selling a grinder, right? You have a couple grinders. It's going to group all of those opportunities by its core topic. And indeed, this is available on a number of different entities here in your view, different columns. That is, I'm going to go ahead and ungroup. You can see I can group by status. So if I wanted to group all of them by open one, you can see now it's just taken my list and it's condensed it. So it's what's called an aggregation function or a nesting function. Quickly remove here. So to sort of complement what we can do there from a grouping function, we can also, instead of having to write this all down, right? Okay, so this one's 5,000, this one's $14,000, etc., and then having to calculate that outside of the system. What we've also found enabled in this wave release is in an aggregate function. So if I go over to my estimated revenue here, I'm going to see here at the very bottom, I have a new option that says total. And so you can see here, what exactly do I want this particular view to show? Well, I want it to sum all of my revenue. So instead of having to export it to Excel and then produce that sum, I can do it right here within my system at a glance. So I'm just going to come here and I'm going to say sum. So as you can see, what it's now done is it's grouped all of those opportunities together. I can still navigate through those opportunities, but at the very end here, I have the ability to also say, okay, all of my opportunities at this juncture now equal, a total of $1.3 million. So that is exclusively used here on your opportunities pipeline view. But you can imagine as yourselves continue to use this ecosystem, you can see Microsoft rolling this out to other functions. Actually, you're going to see something very similar to grouping as we move into some of the Power Apps discussions here. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about here is about something that is so tried and true in the Sales Hub, and that is really that lead to opportunity pathway, right? This has been something that's been in D365 sales, this sort of strategy or framework of starting with a lead, which is again just sort of a basic understanding of somebody wants something from you, but we're still investigating that, right? We're still working through that before we convert it into an opportunity. With this wave release, what you're going to see is there's quite a bit more added in, and there's more customization that you can do to what is an out of the box lead to opportunity process. So I'm just going to show you what that new experience kind of looks like, and it does include some features from Copilot as well. And then I'm just going to quickly go into the back end to show you some of how I've been able to enable some of this functionality. So I'm just going to go into one of my leads here. And in this scenario, right, this is just the out of the box, the out of the box lead table here with all of the key information that you've sort of always come to expect from the lead here. I'm just going to put a company in here to complete it here. And then, as is a part of the normal lead to opportunity process here, my next step is to say, okay, I've got an understanding of this client, I've got an understanding of their needs, and I want to get ahead and move this on to that next stage, which would be an opportunity, right? I want to convert this lead to an opportunity. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to use that same exact button. I'm going to go ahead and click qualify. Now, this is something that we've not experienced before in terms of this nice quick view appearing for us. So this is the start of some of those quality of work add-ons that have come with this particular wave release. So you can see what it's doing now is it's confirming what it's now going to do with the lead, right? So for those of you that use the lead to opportunity pipeline, right, we know that when we convert a lead over, it's going to create an account. If there isn't already an existing account, it's going to create a contact to correspond with that main first name, last name that you put in the lead. And then key here, it's going to convert this lead into an opportunity, right? So that's what it's basically confirming with us here. So it's going to create an account, it's going to create create this contact, and it's going to create this opportunity based upon the settings that we have in place of what does an opportunity mean to us? What does a contact, what does account mean to us? It's going to follow those rules that we've established. So I'm going to go ahead and click qualify. Right. Again, as it's doing this, we're used to just a pop-up here basically saying getting things ready, and then it just taking us to the opportunity, right? But with this new wave release, it's gonna there's a bit more stages of confirmation here, right? It doesn't assume that, oh, I should just take you right to the opportunity. It's gonna give you the ability right here to say, look, you've already confirmed that these are the records that you want created. It's confirming with you here using Copilot. It's confirming that these records have indeed been created, and indeed you can access those records by simply clicking on any one of these. Not only that, but Copilot has summarized what exactly that process behind the scene was doing. Again, before this, we just assumed that the system was going to work, and it went along its way. Now it's allowing us a lot more flexibility in terms of what we're gonna see and how we can appreciate that process. So I'm gonna just go ahead and click finish. And then that same behavior that we come to expect in terms of it moving that lead into an opportunity is completely compiled for me here. So it's just involving us a little bit more in the lead to opportunity process. Now, I do want to show you where some of these settings, or what is it summarizing, what is it converting? Can I do more with just one lead? I'm going to just quickly show you where those settings are found that control that functionality that I was just showing you. So if you go back into your settings area, right, there's a number of settings back here, but what we're going to do is we're going to go into the lead and opportunity section, right? So as you can see, it lands us on the lead qualification process, and I've encouraged, I've told the system, yeah, I do want to use that new lead process. One thing that I want to call out here is, first of all, this is where you enableize that Copilot summary. If that's something that's important to you, you can just click this and then it enables that functionality. But here's something that's even more, I guess, powerful, you could say. One interacting with John Doe could actually lead to a number of opportunities, right? And up until this date, right, we've had no interaction with that qualification process, and Dynamics has only allowed us to basically convert one lead into an opportunity. Well, one lead with John Doe could lead to a project in Business Central, could be a lead to a project in sales, it could lead to a implementation in project operations. So indeed, this old framework of thinking a lead converts to an opportunity is a bit outdated. In actual fact, a lead can be many opportunities, right? With all sorts of different criteria. What we're setting here is we're saying, system, I want you to do all of this for me in terms of creating that account, creating that contact, creating that opportunity, which you just visualized. But if I select this to seller, you're also going to see here now what I have as part of that entire qualification process. I have the ability to say, you know what? I want to be able to create more than one opportunity for that lead and still allow that normal lead to opportunity process to transpire. Just in this case, I want more ability to create more opportunities. So as you can see here, the limit currently is at 5 opportunities. And because of the opportunity generation process now being within the hands of the seller, you can also come here and you can also say, hey, look, on that, when an opportunity is created by the seller, I also want these fields to be populated, right? So you can start saying, not only do I want to create more than one opportunity, but I actually want to be able to create opportunities with these key fields filled in. So before we leave the sales app, I want to just briefly show you something that is Copilot in sales. So not to be confirmed, or Copilot in sales versus sales Copilot here, just to make that discerning a little bit. Copilot for sales is something that you've seen in your Teams interactions. What I'm talking about is Copilot as it's built into our system, and specifically the account summary here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to simply open up an account. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go to all of my accounts here. I'm going to go to one that has a bit of data here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click the Copilot feature here. And you can see it's already actually, you saw it was running without me prompting anything. And that's a new feature that's coming in this wave, which is called Account Summary. So you can see by simply accessing my account and then clicking the Copilot function, what Copilot has done is it's produced a quick summary, right? I mean, as you can see here, the account has many, many areas to it, right? And you'd have to go to your related entities, see all of the different opportunities, see all the different leads that are part of that account to be able to do that quickly. And indeed, it's not quick. But what Copilot is now doing is it's producing an account summary for us. So the ability to specify, okay, what is the revenue for this account? How many employees are we talking about? And key here, some of the key info that's related to this particular account. Now, this is all customizable by us in the back end. I'll take us to the settings to quickly review that. But you can indeed tell Copilot, what is it that we need to summarize with this account? What are the key fields on the account that I want to be summarized and I want to be able to see at a glance? Not only that, but the summary includes some of the related aspects of this account. So in this particular case, right, it's showing all of the cases that are related to this particular account. And indeed, I can even go from here and say, well, brilliant that you showed me the account summary. Now I want you to summarize a specific case for that account. So instead of having to go over to that particular case, right, and then investigate it and interpret that for myself, within Copilot, without even leaving the account, I've been able to go into the case and asked it to quickly summarize for me. So now I know specifically what is it that this case involving Litware is dealing with, right? And indeed, that's the same for opportunities, for leads, etc. If your account has that, it will also provide that same functionality. If I go back to my app settings here, if I go to my Copilot functionality here and I click on my accounts, you'll see here, this is where I'm establishing what it means to actually produce an account summary, right? I've talked about customer size. It has customer size. I've asked it to have account number. It has account number. If I want to add additional fields, I can quickly just say additional fields, and I can add any field that's on that particular account. And when I click Copilot, when I access that account, it will produce that as part of that key info summary here, as well as all of the related other entities like cases, opportunities. So just something that's coming with Copilot in sales here. I'm going to quickly transition over to the customer service workspace as well to talk about some of those wave releases here. So I'm just going to click on my customer service workspace. Okay, now to be frank, right, this customer service workspace is actually quite a new user experience for adopters of D365 customer service. Some of you might be used to working with D365 Customer Service Hub, which is much more what you've seen, with the Sales Hub, right? Very similar interactions, but you'll see things look different even when we've accessed the workspace here. And that is indeed because this supports your omni-channel. So for those of you that are running customer service really on your call centers or, really at scale here, a lot of companies opt to use that workspace because it does allow you to work on multiple cases at once, and it does have the UI to support that. So when you traditionally hit the back button or when you navigate to an additional area, as you'll see as I move around this experience, this workspace, you'll see tabs start to form up top here. So for any of you that are like, well, what is this workspace? This is where Microsoft is gearing us to start working on our cases, etc. Eventually, that hub experience will likely be deprecated. So what I'm going to do here, I would describe the customer service wave releases similarly as sales here, in that it's mostly a user experience, quality of work kind of enhancements that they're putting out here. And I'm just going to go ahead and review some of those. So most of it, as we know, customer service is built upon the case entity. So most of these enhancements have occurred on the case. So I'm going to quickly go to my cases here. You can see already, right, it's starting that tabular function, so I could quickly go back to my dashboard just like that. Instead of navigating to my sitemap, I can go back to that view, keeping them open all at once here. So a few things to highlight here. Again, just quality of work and really user experience. This is one of the functionalities here that you have more of a visual representation of what your data represents, right? So you have the ability to highlight those key fields in your views and present it with some with some nice visuals, with some nice colors, right? To kind of demonstrate the importance of those particular fields. So within a view here, you can see things like priority, right? They have different icons to indicate high or normal or low priority. You also see that the origin now reflects some of those icons that correspond with email. And then lastly, you also see some controls here on option sets as well. So active is colored red. If you close that, it'll be colored another. And indeed, this kind of functionality can be applied to most of your option sets on your cases. So again, this is just more of your grid controls, your UI features. And as you can see, as I move into one of these cases as well, that goes into the record as well in terms of that functionality to be more visually appealing to us as well. And I'll just quickly show you that. So I have customized this form a little bit here, and what I've done is I've wrapped my option set around type with, again, that same sort of wrapper control that you just saw in the view to make key option sets on the case really stand out to the users here. So you can see if I select problem or request, it's a different color, and indeed if I go and click new, you'll see as well priority, origin, these kind of things also have that same sort of wrapping occurring on the option set here. I'm going to go back to my average shipment time. Some other things that you'll notice here is one of the things when you open up a case, right, is you want to know certain aspects of that case to begin with. And so what Microsoft has started to do here is they've rolled out this new enhanced full case form. And so along with some of the option set wrapping that you're seeing here, it's also very quickly showing you, SLAs and are very important to how we handle cases and how we interact with our clients, right? And so what Microsoft has done is it's not hidden the SLAs, on one of those tabs, if you're used to some of the out of the box case form, but it's actually promoted it right on the front, so that if you're a manager or if you're if you're a call center representative, where you are vis-a-vis your SLAs right when you open up that case. Also, instead of having to look through all of your timelines and all of your follow-ups that you've had scheduled, based upon the due dates that you're establishing in your emails or your phone calls, as you can see here, it's making that front and center. So it's telling me right away, hey, look, as you've navigated to this case, there are some activities that are overdue. So I can click right in here. It says, oh, okay, you need to make a phone call. So I can click without having to go through my timeline and find out what that call is. I just click on that overdue call, and it's navigating me right to my open activities area where it's showing me, hey, look, you need to make that call. And indeed, that is reciprocated here. If you do happen to go the timeline, you can see that this is the phone call that it's really specifying that is overdue here. So again, it's more about presenting data at the appropriate time and in the appropriate places. So again, just improving some of those ways of work sort of improvements here. To continue with this, there's also some abilities on the attachments that I wanted to quickly discuss as well. So for those of you that have worked with attachments quite a lot, you'll note that you have to sort of add an attachment one at a time, right? They have addressed that, and in my opinion, it's long overdue here. But if I come to my attachments area, again, I don't have to go through all of my emails to find those attachments or those documents. They're all centralized in your attachments tab. And instead of having to do this manually one by one, if I click this add attachment button, again, File Explorer is everybody's used to having to work with this File Explorer here. I'm going to go simply and find a couple documents to upload. I'm going to select this one, and I'm also going to select this one as well. You can see I have two documents selected here. Go ahead and open that. And you can see I can therefore add more than one document at a time. So just eliminating some clicks for me. What I'm also going to do is show you some drag and drop functionality that, in my opinion, this will quickly evolve into more of a drag and drop experience that we've all come to sort of expect from enterprise tools here. I'm just going to come down here. I'm going to act like I'm going to create a new email. So I'm going to go ahead and say create timeline record. Go ahead and create an email here. Okay. So you can see I have my attachments here. This should look quite a bit different than what you're sort of used to. Normally, these attachments grids are just like a normal subgrid. What I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to just demonstrate the drag and drop procedure. So on my right hand monitor here, I've got those same documents that you just saw. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take one of them. I'm going to drop it here. You can see it's completely aware of that drag and drop behavior. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And so instead of having to go through that normal file upload procedure, right, add an attachment, still available for you. But in this case, if you've got the file open, right, you can just drag it over to your email pane to make sure it works here. Okay. So one other thing that I want to show you before we navigate too far away from the sales and the customer service experience here is some of our what's called the Power Apps grid control. And just because it's named Power Apps does not mean that it's not available in some of our other applications. It just means that it's a core component, right? These are all Power Apps, right? Now they're Microsoft's first party Power Apps, but nonetheless, when you hear solutions architects and your project teams say, I'm going to build a Power App or I'm going to build a Power App component, that just means reusing the same sort of components that Microsoft has used to be able to build its Sales Hub or its customer service workspace. So it's called a Power Apps grid control, but it is indeed serviceable if you're using D365 Sales or others. So I'm going to quickly go over to my Sales Hub again. Go to my contacts here. And instead of all contacts, I want to access contacts and their opportunities. So I know for years as I've been, building out and working in the dynamic space, one thing that frustrates me is sometimes when I come to my contacts grids and I show all contacts, I'm not actually interested in the contact themselves, right? I'm interested in a record underneath that contact, right? I actually navigate into the contact so that I can see what are those contacts opportunities, right? So in other words, I'm really using contacts as a container, but that's not really my focus. And it's kind of aggravating to have to drill into all of my contacts to be able to see its list of opportunities. Brilliant. I mean, I love that once I'm in a contact, I can see opportunities and leads and cases and all the other entities that I might have built off of contacts. But for some of those questions, I just want to be able to answer them at a glance, right? So what I've enabled here is what's called nested subgrid, and that is been around for some time, but they've evolved, and now it's going to be called the Power Apps grid control. So indeed, any view that you have across your system, be it quotes, orders, leads, what have you, you have the ability to implement this type of functionality. Now it is based upon the view that you select, so you have to configure this ability on a specific view, but indeed it is available to nearly all of the views across your system. So what I've done is I've created a view called contacts and their opportunities. So what I'm intending for this view to show me is a list of all my contacts, just like I wanted, but I want to be able to see if they have opportunities underneath them without having to navigate to that contacts record. So if I go here to Herberto Nathan here and I click on the little down arrow, yeah, I see Herberto's information here, right? All of his email, his job title, his business phone. But what I'm seeing underneath here is this is no longer Herberto's contact record. These are the opportunities that Herberto is named on, right? And so you can see I can interact with this opportunity and just quickly select opportunity. I didn't have to navigate into Herberto's profile. It took me right to my opportunity. So it's essentially a view within a view. I can also action on those particular items from within that view. So if I go back to my contacts here, I navigate back to my contacts with opportunities, see if we can find somebody with a few other. So here we've got Dwayne, right? We've got a couple different opportunities that he is a part of. Now, normally this master grid bar, right, reflects this view. But you'll see if I select one of these opportunities, this contextual bar allows me to do different things here, right? I can delete this opportunity without ever going to Dwayne's profile, without ever going to my opportunities list. I can click delete right here, and I can otherwise action upon opportunities that are within Dwayne's profile without ever having to navigate to that area. Again, reiterate that this kind of functionality is view specific, but can indeed be nested anywhere across the D365 and Power Platform landscape. I'm going to quickly move into Customer Insights Journey, just to kind of show you one of the things that's being rolled out there. Now, for those of you, that are aware of D365 marketing, something that I'd like to just kind of put out there is outbound marketing, which has been the bedrock of D365 marketing for the last several years, is being deprecated. So as of June 2025, you will no longer be able to use outbound marketing functionality. Indeed, I rolled this particular instance. If you're not on marketing, then you won't even have the option to roll out outbound marketing. As you can see, it's not available to me. So these would be the individuals here that might already be on D365 marketing. So one thing, outbound marketing is going away in June 2025. In December of 2024, they are deprecating social interactions. So our ability to promote things to Facebook or LinkedIn, that is going to be deprecated as of December 2024, just to kind of call that out as well. But as a result of all those deprecations, as you can imagine, Microsoft is investing heavily in building out what it's now calling Customer Insights Journey, which again is D365 marketing reimagined, right? So one of the things that I want to show you is most of this is specific to your customer journeys. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly create a customer journey with everybody here. So I'm going to click my journeys here. I'm going to go ahead and say I want a new journey. So I'm going to click new journey. So if anybody is working in the customer journey or customer insights journey ecosystem, you will know that Copilot is already enabled here, so you can use the examples or the prompts that it's provided, but you can also use normal language to just describe what journey you want your clients to go through, and Copilot will help you get started with some of that journey. In this particular case, I'm going to create a very simple journey, so I'm going to go ahead and say skip and create from blank here. Now, these functionalities that I'm going to show you, specifically being able to rate limit, i.e., you might have a segment of 5,000 people that live in Kentucky, for instance, but you don't want to have to manage the journeys of 5,000 people at once. So the first wave release that I'm going to show you is the ability to do rate limits. Now, rate limits are only available in segment-based because, again, it's built to say, hey, look, you've got 5,000 people from Kentucky, but just internally, if those people are really motivated by this journey and really want to interact with us, we don't have the people power to really be able to work with all of those 5,000 people from Kentucky at once. So it enables this system to allow people to enter the journey or bring people into the journey in waves, right? So that you can manage the responses that you're hopefully getting from your customer journeys. So it is segment based. I'm going to go ahead and say segment. As you could maybe have thought here, there is a Kentucky segment that I've established here. So I'm going to select the Kentucky segment. Now, this only works on one-time journeys. The journeys where you're going to have people constantly go back and forth based upon their interaction with the journey. Otherwise, you can start them from the beginning. This sort of rate limit control is not available just yet to those sort of repeating journeys. So it is only for a static audience and a one-time journey here. I'm going to go ahead and say I want this journey to start on the 26th. On the 25th here, I'm going to go ahead and create this journey. So as you'll see, right, your design studio for your journeys are really compiled on these on your right hand nav here. And so if I go all the way to the bottom here, you'll see there is a preview item called rate limit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to my rate limit, and you can see here I just have to enable rate limit. And then what I can do is how many people do I want to have enter this at any given time? Honestly, it's based upon how big your segment is and what your people power can kind of handle. But this is to just show you that you can, bring these people bring your audience into the waves, in a more organized fashion with this kind of rate limit. The next thing that I want to show you with Customer Insights Journey is also the ability to do split branching. So you've been able to do if-then statements, in customer journeys for quite some time. You've been able to do A/B testing for quite some time, right? So you've got an email content that you're rolling out in using a journey. Well, traditionally, right, we'd have two different versions, and we just tell it, hey, look, really validate A and B content here. But what if you want more robust splitting? So it's not just A, B, but you actually want unique experience for a larger subset of your segments. What you can do is you can split this customer journey as in as many ways as you want in terms of number of people or percentage of the segment. And all you need to do here is you click your add an action button, and what you'll be able to see here is, we've always had this A/B testing and channel optimization, which is really using Copilot here. But you'll see here I have the ability to select an audience split. So what I'm doing now, again, and this is based upon segments here, but I'm saying, hey, branch one, I want there to be 50% of that segment. I want you to run down branch one. Branch two, 50%. I can continue to add branches as long as they all equal 100. So this could be based upon a percentage. But if you also want to validate a stream of your journey with just a certain number of people, and then the rest can kind of, the rest of the segment can go down the other pathway, but you're kind of trying out some content or trying out a pathway in your journey. You can also come here and say split audience by number. So if you did have a total a total segment here, like you could see my Kentucky segment had 0 people, but if you had 500, maybe you want, branch one, just take 5 people down there, right? Just to see how that particular branch works. So again, just to summarize here, this is just giving you the ability to slice and dice your segment, to continue to manipulate the journey that your audience is going on, and giving you more control to sort of split that journey how you see fit and how your audience is really demanding some of their journeys, what those journeys become. Just in the absence of time here, I just want to show one more thing, and that would be in the field service module, and then I'll briefly talk about project operations and some really interesting administration functionality that's been rolled out by Microsoft here in this Wave 2 release. So I'm going to quickly navigate over to my field service instance. I'm going to go to my work orders here on my left-hand navigation. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and navigate into a nice work order here. So let's do this one here. Now, one thing that you'll see in this is a completely different form. For those of you that may have been on D365 field service for some time, you'll note that, when it comes to project operations and field service, Microsoft's not waiting for the Wave releases, right? You're seeing updates into field service and project operations on a nearly weekly basis. That is one thing that's very unique on project operations and field service, because again, a lot of these modules used to be in a completely different architecture and a completely different product suite, specifically finance and operations. As Microsoft is starting to bring more and more of those modules, previously known as modules, over to the Dataverse instance, they're investing a lot of time in that. And so they are not waiting for every 6 months to roll out these sort of quality of application updates. They're doing it quite often. So this form is one of those things that you've likely seen evolve in even the last couple months. And one thing that you'll have seen in the last couple months is the addition of this Copilot file here. And so this is going to quickly in December go from a preview function. It's going to be generally available as of December. So what I'm going to do on my particular work order is, again, just like what you saw on the account, right? I don't want to have to go into all the products, all of the tasks that have been compiled, etc. I want to just be able to get a nice summary from Copilot. I want Copilot to help me with this action and not make me have to go into all of these various different tabs to understand what exactly is happening with this particular work order. So you can see here, it's summarized exactly what we're talking about here, right? It's an HVAC inspection. It's in Hastings, Nebraska. Now, how did it know that? Well, it's known that because it went in and read Alpine Ski House. So none of this information, for instance, is in this particular work order. But Copilot is smart enough to use any of these lookup functions and dig deep into those records that are in the lookup. So it's gone into Alpine Ski House. It knows that it's in Hastings, Nebraska. It knows exactly where where the address is. It's summarized that a technician needs to go and do a couple inspections. if I come over to my task here, you can see there's a couple inspections that need to be done. Well, Copilot has done that for me. It's already told me that those inspections need to be done. It's even included some scheduling information that you'll see here as well. So, to summarize and to really talk about project operations and field service, to go back what I was talking about at the very beginning, um, whereby the wave two really begins more of a success of waves. You can almost think of it as the tide rolling in instead of just one wave. With project operations, if you go to the release schedule that I'll be appending to our conversation at the end here, you'll see that most of project operations wave two releases will be coming as the new year joins us. So you'll see a lot more in March. Same thing with field service. There's all these quality improvements that are happening on a monthly basis, but you're going to see a lot more features rolled out in field service and project operations as we move into the new year. And so that's why I'm not going to spend much time on those two applications here. What I'd like to show now, because it's particularly relevant, is the idea of release channels. So for years, we have had these kind of discussions with our clients. Okay, wave two release is about to be rolled out. Wave one release is about to roll out. Right? It's nice and organized. Every single year in October, I'm having this discussion. Every single year in March and April, I'm having a discussion of wave one. Microsoft is now giving us the ability all the way down to the user level to say, you know what, instead of waiting for 6 months to roll out these application improvements, I want you to do it on a more regular cadence. I'm going to show you what that means. So there's a couple places where I'm going to want to do this. If you want your environment to start to roll out wave releases on a monthly basis, you can now go into the environment settings and you can tell it, don't wait for wave one or wave two in October and March. I want you to constantly be upgrading my environments. That's particularly for us that want to be at the cutting edge on some of those features that Microsoft's rolled out. Now, I would encourage everybody that's in attendance here to go ahead and scrutinize these settings for your organizations, or do indeed reach out to us so that we can kind of guide you through some of this. Because as of December, if you lead the cadence on auto, it's going to start to update some of your applications on a monthly basis. So auto now is going to default to a monthly cadence instead of that semi-annually that we're used to. So what I'm going to do is, if I'm in my Power Platform Admin Center, so again, if you're a system administrator here and you want to make sure your environment is kept up to date on a monthly basis, what you're going to do is you're going to navigate to your environments. You're going to go ahead and select the environment that you want to be updated now on a monthly basis, not a semi-annual basis. I'm going to click my settings here. I'm going to go to my product here. I'm going to go to behavior. And what you can see here is now model-driven app release channel. So again, all of the model-driven apps in your environment, if you leave it auto, it will now default to a monthly cadence, but you can basically set that setting. So you can come here and say, yep, monthly channel, or you can do semi-annual channel. So again, our ability to say, I don't want waves anymore, I want more constant waves, is now available at the environment level. If you don't want your entire environment to be set up, but you want Sales Hub, for instance, to be updated on a monthly basis, while still allowing customer service or customer insights journey to be updated on that semi-annual basis, you also have the ability to do this on an app basis. So here, you'd be navigating to your Make ecosystem, come to your apps here, your your left-hand navigation. You're going to come down to say Customer Insights Journey. I'm going to click here. I'm going to go edit here. Okay, so it's going to open up my application here. This is where we're messing with the site maps, the areas, etc. I'm going to click Settings in my command bar here, and you'll see here as part of the not upcoming. I go down in the Generals tab. I go down to my Advanced Settings here. You can see now App Release Channel. got my monthly, it's got my semi-annual, it's got my auto. Now, because I set the demo environment up to be a monthly channel as well, it's now set that, but I can override that. So I can come down to, even if I've set that at the environment level, because you know what, 9 out of 10 apps, it needs to be monthly. But for that one app, you can still come in here and override it and say, hey, this one is business critical. I don't want this to be updated so frequently. So you can set that semi-annual channel back as well. Last thing to show you here is you can also do this um, on a user basis as well. So if I go over to my users here, scroll down to my admin account here, say I don't want the waves to be applied to my instance on a monthly basis. What I can do here is I can go to my more user actions and I can click change channel. And then what I can say is this is an override. So again, it's going to listen to what your environment says by default. But for instance, if I set this to monthly and I don't want Graham to have a monthly updates, I can come here and I can still override it to semi-annual. So again, this is just Microsoft allowing us a little bit more control on what they're doing in our environments. We still can't, it's still not optional for us to get past waves. But at least what we can do now is we can say, hey, look, we want to be at the forefront here. I want us to be able to do that on an ongoing basis versus, hey, I really like the Wave 1 release. It allows us to scrutinize it, allows us to go to webinars where people discuss, what's being rolled out, etc. The last thing that I want to talk about today, and then I can just give you over some time to ask them any questions that you have here, and certainly I'll give you some helpful links from everything that you've seen today, and where you can kind of follow what Microsoft is working on and then plan accordingly. We finally have delete record management. I have been waiting this my entire career. For 15 years, I have not rolled out delete permissions. Maybe a handful of time I've ever give end users delete permissions. Why? Because historically, there's nothing that I could do when a user did delete those records. I don't have access to the source code. I don't have access to the underlying database, so I was unable to bring deleted records back. We now have a feature in place where you can set up to 30-day retention policy. So this, just like your audit history, if any of you are using audit history, we now basically have a delete history table that is going to allow us to bring our deleted records back. I can't stress how important that is for all the clients that I've worked with, and Indeed is such a huge advancement in terms of what we're looking to do from a security perspective, and just allowing your users and yourselves as system admins or business owners and product owners to have faith that there's a mechanism now in the back end that's going to allow us to bring back those records, because when people do inadvertently delete records. So the way that you do that is very similar here. I'm going to go to features here in your environment. Going to enable, if you scroll all the way to the bottom now, you're going to enable deleted components, recycle bin. And you're just going to enable the recycle bin. As you can see here, you can configure recovery time for up to 30 days. So anywhere in between 0 and 30, depending on what your retention policy is, but you do have the freedom to set that all the way to 30 days. Now, if I go into a record here, let's go back over to the Sales Hub here. Bear with me, apologies here. Okay, so if I'm over here, I'm going to go into a contact here. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to just show you what that looks like in the center here. So I'm going to go to one of my contacts here at the bottom here. Go ahead and click delete. Not edit. And see, we have a lot more confirmation here on our delete, which is very helpful in the first place to hopefully prevent those users from deleting it. I'm gonna go ahead and click delete here. Okay, so that record, as you can see, is out of our system here. What I'm going to do if I want to restore this record is I'm going to go back over to my Power Platform Admin Center. So again, at this time, right, it's exclusively enabled for system administrators. So I'm going to go back into my environment. I'm going to go back into settings here. I'm going to go into my data management feature here, and you'll see at the very bottom here, view deleted records. I'm going to click on my view deleted record here. Quickly refresh this. See, I just had that delete event here at the bottom. All of these things deleted here. You can see some of my other deleted records from earlier in the day here. And what I can do here is if I select any of these records. Now, this is why it's for system admins here, because you'll need to understand what activity parties are versus conversation transcript, just so everybody knows what this is. This is not only the core Graham Crouch record or David Crouch or Jessica Crouch record, but these are all of the timeline features underneath it, right? Because when you or when you delete a contact record, it's going to delete all those cascading properties as well. And as you can see, as I sort of select these records in your command bar, it will have restore. Now this is still in preview, so this is more of an early access feature. So Microsoft is still working on this, and it should be released to for general availability sometime in December as well. So just to kind of show you, deleted functionality and restoring is coming to the Power Platform into Dynamics, which I think, speaking for myself, super excited about. The thing that I'll just end with is just kind of putting in the chat some of the or kind of opening up some of the areas where you can monitor what's coming in these release waves as well. First thing is just showing you the release plan for Microsoft, where at any time, not just corresponding with the releases, you can come in here and you can see what they're doing or what they're planning for the next wave or for the next iterative release. So if I came in here to D365, I can go to my sales app. I can see what Microsoft has planning in the next couple of release plans, what it's going to be doing in the next month, and then what are some of those early release items that are coming. So indeed, you can do that for any of the out of the box applications as well as the Power Platform. I find this to be super helpful. It can get in front of things. The other thing that I want to just briefly talk about is when the waves happen, there's also normally deprecation that happens, right? New things come in and old things go out. So another thing that you'll notice on the documentation is deprecation links. So again, if you go to the baseline 2024 release wave 2 plan, you navigate all the way down to the bottom here, you will also see things that are going to be removed from the system, and you can navigate. You can see there's various things that are being removed from the sales apps, right? The assistance card, the exchange, the playbooks. Why are they deprecating this? Because they have sequences, right? That replace playbooks, for instance. So it is important to keep in mind that while Waves introduce new functionality, it also deprecates some functionality as well. And with that, I think I have 30 seconds left in our allotted time. Just wanted to open up to the group here, just if there are any questions. I certainly did not cover every single thing that is being released in the wave. I will provide those links so that you can follow up with all of the rest of the items that are coming in the wave. But any questions? I'm going to just go into the chat here. I'm just going to include some of these URLs for everyone. With that, if there's no questions, really appreciate everyone's time this morning. Please reach out to any of your project team members or your CSM. or really anybody at True North, if you'd like to talk a little bit deeper about some of the things that are coming in the wave release, and if you'd like to for us to investigate your environment and make you aware of any of these deprecations or these new features that you think would be handy or need to be grappled with in your environment, we're very happy to help. And I really appreciate everybody's time this morning. Cheers, everyone.